Welcome back to the Visually Hidden Selects podcast, episode 48. This month's selection is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the movie from 1990, directed by Steve Barron. And I gotta say, this one really, oh man, there are movies you see as a kid that are with you, but this one in particular, I remember going to the movie theater with my mother and my sisters and seeing it when it came out. And it was amazing because I was a big Turtle fan, from the cartoon and the toys. I wasn't really familiar with the comic books as a child. That's something that I got into later as an adult, but I knew they were a comic. It's just I never came across them as a kid. It was really the cartoon and the action figure line. And then when this movie came out, I was just so hyped to see it. And I have such a vivid recollection of sitting in the movie theater, watching the beginning and just thinking to myself, it's like, April works for Channel 6. What the fuck's this Channel 3 bullshit? Direct quote.
Where's the jumpsuit?
From my memory. It's like, oh, well, at least they put her in a yellow raincoat. Okay, this is cool. Let's go.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, this movie, and then, of course, I got the VHS for my birthday that fall, in the fall of 1990, and it's this one right here. It's the same one. Oh. I've had this video, and if I have my way, it's going into the tomb with me.
I understand that.
It's just, it's one of those, I have a handful of VHS from when I was a kid that were mine, they weren't the family's, they were mine. And this is one of them. And I will just never forget it. And, anybody who has this VHS they know that Pizza Hut commercial about playing right field. Yeah. And they could probably sing the song, and it's just, wow,
you gotta learn how to catch, you gotta learn how to throw.
Precisely. So, it's something that links a generation in our culture, this film, and specifically this video, because anybody who missed it in the theater, of course, saw it on video. I think for me, this movie is bigger and better and more significant than Home Alone.
It's funny you should mention Home Alone. Well, first of all, my wife sings that fucking commercial because she had her brother had the tape, and it's like he had the tape. You knew that fucking Pizza Hut commercial.
You did.
But there's two movies that if I know they're getting put on, you gotta eat pizza. It's Ninja Turtles and it's Home Alone.
So for this year, I didn't even know this when I programmed it because I do the VHS programming way in advance, but it's the 35th anniversary of this movie. Mm-hmm. And it's actually going to be back in the theaters. So I'm going to bring my family to check it out because it's a different experience on that big screen. Mm-hmm. It just is. You could watch it at home and go directly to the movies, watch it on the big screen, and it'll be a totally different movie than what you saw in your house an hour earlier. It's just, it's different, and the magic is there. So I'm really looking forward to getting back to the theater for this one.
Watching this film for the first time, because it was the first time I watched this movie. I was a bit confused at the beginning because when you used to watch the cartoon series, as you said, you have some differences because it's more based on the comics. It's more violent, but it's so funny that it was okay. And I like the fact that they still have some references to the cartoon also. So you're a bit confused, but you recognize what you loved when you were a kid. So as you said, it's a perfect adaptation for me.
Yeah, they really did a great job because the comic, of course, had been around since 1984, and then the cartoon and toy line came about in 86, 87, and this film came out in 1990. And they just did a great job of kind of melding the two, because in the comic, they all have just red bandanas, and it's black and white, so you can't even really tell, except through their personality and through their weapons.
Good point.
But in the cartoon, they color coded them because they did that for the toy line, so they could make more than one turtle for kids to buy. Mm-hmm. And that makes, a lot of sense marketing wise, but I think it adds that little touch of of color to the story and to the film, and then it's just a little bit more distinct. So then when there is a big fight scene going on and they're not necessarily using their weapon, you can still tell who's in the frame and who you're rooting for.
Yeah, because they have a real personality. I mean, you have the leader, you have the rebel, you have the comic guy. You have, I don't know, the fourth one. What we can say, the
Tech
thinker.
savvy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So you can recognize them without the color.
Oh, absolutely, but it does help,
Yeah, sure.
especially for kids.
Yeah, I remember seeing this in the theater, and again, at that point, my only point of reference was the cartoon. But man, this is cool to see. Like, just have them come alive, and I love how you don't. In the opening of the cartoon, they shoot out of the sewer and the theme song's going and it's like action and they're right in your face. But this one, they kind of held off the turtles in the opening. You don't get to see them. You see like little slivers of the mask in the sewer, and
Yeah.
when Raph loses the sigh, and and until you get into the sewer, when you get a full glimpse, it's like, whoa, that was kind of cool to not reveal them right away.
You
But
know,
man,
I
it was awesome when they did.
well remember, like, all right, yeah, so I vividly remember seeing it in the theater, and like when they first have that scuffle where they save April and then you hear Michelangelo go, "Whoa." I got so excited in the theater. I was just like, they're here,
Yeah,
you know? And it's weird because I know they're just guys in suits. And even as a kid, I knew they weren't real turtles, but they looked awesome, like
yeah,
they looked well enough, as well as like Michael Keaton in a Batman costume, with the fake abs and everything. Like, okay, yeah, like I'm going down this road. I don't care. And it still holds up.
Yeah, what
totally.
is surprising is the face expressions because you don't expect that from a puppet. I mean, so much expressions in the face. So I was really amazed also about that.
Mm-hmm.
I hear people nowadays say, "Oh, those look so cheesy." Like, let me tell you something. Those suits to this day, I will fight someone in the street, hold up and look better than anything else that's been put on screen
Yeah,
for the Turtles.
definitely.
That Jerry, what was it? The Bruckheimer nonsense a couple of years
Oh,
back. The Megan Fox. I watched the first one. Terrible. I couldn't even
yeah.
watch. I couldn't even
Oh
finish the
no,
first
don't say terrible. I don't agree on that. Because I
Terrible.
watched this one and it's not the same, that's for sure. But you have good stuff in it. I was
Right,
really
but
surprised about Megan Fox because I expected, the woman object because yeah, that's the image she has,
yeah.
and she was pretty impressive for this performance. I mean, I don't know, I liked it. I agree on the fact that the turtles look fake in the movie, the one with Megan Fox, than when you compare to this one. I totally agree on that. But otherwise, the movie is not that bad.
I didn't even see the Michael Bay turtle movies, so I can't really comment. But I
Michael
will
Bay.
say that even in the original like three movies, this one stands on its own from the other two because when they did Secret of the Ooze a year later, like that movie came out inside of a year.
Immediate.
Like they wrote, shot, produced, executed that film like inside of a year, a calendar year. And that's just bananas to think about. But even in that film, the turtles don't look as good as they do in this film. A
No.
big part of it is the cinematography and the lighting. The Secret of the Ooze is a lot brighter. This one, it just has that dark, edgy, like grittiness that comes through in the comics as well. There's beautiful shading, there's beautiful use of shadows, and then just the lighting in this movie. It really adds that extra element of life to these characters where it's like, oh yeah, that they just got that like perfect combination right where it could be real, you
Yeah.
Yeah.
know.
Well, there's a reason why I bought most of the NECA figures from part one, and the only one I bought from two is Super Shredder. Because they look better in the first. I have a preference for the first movie, as
Hmm.
much as I enjoy a lot of the gags and stuff in the second movie, and it goes off the rails at times. But that first movie, for me, so quotable. You
Yeah.
know, I know every beat of that movie, every little noise cue, every little music cue, and then like, oh, they're doing this, oh, they're doing that, and my kids look at me sometimes. I'll just be in the other room saying the dialogue, and like,
Yeah.
how does he know that? But I've seen that movie a million times. That's how I know that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and I think a big credit goes to the director, Steve Barron, who, I mentioned this in the VHS as well, but like his contribution to the world of cinema and specifically music video. I mean, Billie Jean, Take on Me, Money for Nothing. Like the dude is just, a creative visual genius in a way, to
Mhm.
like utilize what he has available to like the biggest impact or effect. And so, when you get a property like the Ninja Turtles and you're in good with Jim Henson, in spite of Jim Henson's reservations about the violence, like you can overcome that and work professionally to a great result. It's like, man, yeah, like now you've got something that's like really gonna just hold up and kind of span time. You think about movies like Labyrinth, it's total fantasy. You know, 90% of the characters are puppets, Muppets,
Mhm.
animatronics,
People
and
in suits. Yeah.
yeah, and it's just it works so well for a reason because there was care and there was professionalism and there was art behind it, but also there was story and there was narrative and what is telling the story, what's helping tell the story, what isn't helping telling the story. Let's focus on the story. What's the story? How can we best tell it with what we have?
I agree. And, to that point about the direction, a character like a live action April O'Neil could come off as a very chintzy, cheap copy of Lois Lane. Both strong willed reporters, but, she's
Yeah.
totally different than Lois Lane. And that's a credit also to Judith Hoag. She does such a great job in this movie. I missed her in the second movie because I thought
Yeah.
she was a superior April. No offense to Miss Tuco in the second movie, but I think that she's the superior April, if you will.
I like the fact that she has an ordinary beauty. I don't know if you say that, but
Hmm.
and so you focus so much on her personality, her passion about what she does, everything she does. She seems passionate about it. So yeah, I really love this character. It's not the woman object as I said previously.
Yeah, no, but she's not without her, her charm
Yeah,
or
yeah, sure.
her sexuality, she has all those things. Like I love when the turtles are like, just like clamoring over her, and like
Can't wait
They're
to
Mikey's like,
start.
teenagers, you know.
yeah, he's kissing the TV, like I'm in love, like all that stuff. Like it just it adds to her character as well,
Sure.
but I love how what like when she's confronted on the subway platform,
Hmm.
and
Mm.
she's vulnerable and like she's trying to like make a joke about it, and then the one foot soldier like slaps her and then she pulls the sign, she's like ready for action. It's like she has a lot of elements in her character that come through because of the performance, because of the actor and the decisions that she made, in the moment.
No, she's the backbone of the movie. I mean, she's throughout the entire thing. Carrying all the performances with the police chief and all the other human beings, and then the through line with her and the turtles, and then her and Casey Jones, of course, is. I mean,
Hmm.
the chemistry between the two of them is so good. But April really is the backbone of this movie. She holds the whole thing together. I mean, if you don't get a good April O'Neil, I don't know if it works because the costumes are going to look great no matter what.
Yeah.
Voice performances can always change, as we know in Hollywood.
Yeah.
But the person on screen that you're seeing, it's got to work, and she does a fantastic job.
And from start to finish, because we don't meet Casey Jones until like 15 minutes or so into the movie, and then even then he doesn't really become like a key figure until like 40 minutes into the
Hmm.
movie.
Yeah.
And truth be told, spoiler alert, he kind of misses the fight at the end. He's off on his little side quest rescuing Splinter, so he's not even
Mhm.
really like in the thick of the action the
Yeah.
way the way you might expect him to be. You know, he's doing his part, but he's not at the final confrontation, like, you know, taking shots at the Shredder,
Right.
right? He's doing different things. So Casey Jones, he's second fiddle, you
Yeah.
know.
But what a
April, like even April gets a knock in on the foot soldier at the end battle, you know.
but what a great exhibit of writing there. The showdown should be the Turtles and Shredder, right?
Yeah,
That should be what it comes down to. So what are we going to do with Casey? We got to give him something to do. Give him the most meaningful thing you could do that's not fighting the Shredder. It's go saving Splinter. That's what the Turtles would want. They want to make sure that, he's okay. So I think, what a good, because sometimes you get in those positions in movies where, like, okay, well, what do we do with this character for 20 minutes until
yeah.
he shows up in the grand finale? I don't know. So, and you don't see him, they disappear, or they get some kind of, random, the equivalent of go get a coffee,
Mhm.
in Hollywood. It's like, you go do this little stupid thing that really means nothing because we have nothing for you. But he's got a big responsibility at that point. Got to save Splinter.
And Elias Koteas is just so underrated as an actor. You know, he's one of those character actors who just like pops up in these, like, you know, different roles in different films, and he always delivers.
Hmm.
And especially as Casey Jones, I mean, I'm just gonna say, you know, this is another like standout performance and part of this film, because again, he's the only other primary like human, you know, that we as an audience can really connect to, because the turtles are mutants, you know. They're creatures. We can only identify with them so much insofar as their personalities, unless, you know, you study ninjutsu, in which case then you're kind of with them on that level. But Casey Jones, he's really kind of our surrogate, you know. He's our human avatar in this story. And, you know, and then their chemistry throughout
Really
the
good.
whole film is just, it it plays and it builds so well and so naturally, and it's just fun to kind of watch. You know, there's not one moment where I'm like taken out of it because of them or their performances.
Yeah.
You know, I love when they're bonding at the farm, and like he's like slowly growing on her in spite
Hmm.
of himself.
Yeah.
You know, but then even at the end when he's going to rescue Splinter, and like he's showing off with the foot soldier leader, and he's like, you know, maybe a little primatine, you know, clear that up, and he just gets like cracked across the room and comes back with the golf club. It's like all those little
Masatetsu.
all those little smart ass remarks are consistent with the character, you
Yeah.
know, and so it's a solid performance.
This movie's always, I mean, the Turtles are such a big part of my childhood. I mean, in
Mhm.
the 80s up into the 90s, it was Ghostbusters, it was Turtles. This is just right up
Yeah.
there. And this is one of those properties that just doesn't go away. And it's never going
No.
to go away. It's here forever. And there's plenty of knockoffs and whatever. But this movie specifically, out of all the turtle movies that exist, this is my favorite, and this is a movie that I have near and dear to my heart. So when you said it was on the list, I was like, no way. I was really excited
Oh
about
yeah.
it.
No, you know, a lot of people would probably consider this like a guilty pleasure. And I think that's just a bullshit term. I've said it before. Like, that's a fucking bullshit term for fucking cowards who aren't comfortable in their own skin. You know, this movie is amazing. And I really, really, really believe that. And I really think everybody should see it at least once, because there's fantastic things about it. You know, like the cinematography we mentioned, it's incredibly beautiful how well it comes across and how well it's captured. There are some shots in this movie, like when they're on the farm and they got like the sun rising behind them. And it's like just the composition in some of these shots and the tangibility of the turtles in their environment. It's amazing.
I used
And
to try to
then,
draw those pictures that April,
yeah,
as I could never draw that good. I tried when I was a
yeah.
kid.
Yeah, well, and then even like, you know, with the Foot Clan, you know, in their little hideout, like all the darkness, but it's lit so well that it creates this atmosphere. You know, it seems familiar, but it has this kind of like quality about it where it looks like a Hong Kong action movie, which it is.
Yeah. But also it captured like the grit and dirtiness of the city. Like it felt like it was the underbelly, like the island
Yeah.
of misfit toys there, where the Foot Clan are like, you know, recruiting these people. And look at it, we got a young Sam Rockwell in there
Yeah.
recruiting the
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 head
future
thug.
Foot Clan. So funny that he's in there.
Yeah. We have loyalty to the Shredder. We're a family.
You call this here and that down there family? Yeah. Oh, love this fucking movie. I could quote this movie for days. It's something we know, but like when you start to break things down, like we do here on the show, that you start thinking about things a little differently. And we just talked about the chemistry between April and Casey, right? But the chemistry between the turtles, that what a technical feat, because you got some guys in the suits, you got guys working the animatronics in the face, but then you got like Corey Feldman, giving great one-liners, and his chemistry with Robbie Rist as Michelangelo. I mean, enough you can't say enough good things about that.
In a studio months later after
Yeah.
they filmed it, you have that.
It's amazing that they really capture that Mikey Donnie kind of always goofing around behind everyone's back type of a deal.
Yeah.
While you have Raph and Leo having the power struggle,
Yeah,
one's
butting
hot-headed,
heads.
one's so like, but it's just so the fact that you got that level of chemistry with all those people involved and all those barriers in the way is unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's because I feel like you don't get that chemistry.
No, because you're not only coordinating, the characters, but again, you're coordinating the guys in the suits, the guys doing the voices, the guys doing the martial arts performance, and the guys in the suits, they can't see shit. Like they really, really can't. So they're all like basically doing a big mime act, kind of hopefully pointed in the right direction or, on their mark. So now you're coordinating all the technical people around them.
Mm-hmm.
It's insane. It's hard enough to do that with 2 live people out of costume, like in a scene, much less 4 guys times 3, with all their other handlers and, robot team, like.
Yeah. And then when you think about some of the
and then you're going to have them fight,
right?
A very choreographed, like elaborate, physical encounter. Like, man,
and not just
amazing.
the fighting, but the sight gags. When Mikey's messing with some of the foot soldiers and gotcha, or when he spins them around, like Wheel of Fortune, dude. All those things like have to translate, otherwise you're missing the essence and the heart and the spirit of what the turtles are. They kick ass, but they're also really funny, and they're kids, so like they have to act like kids. So even when the pizza falls on Splinter's head, kids, like the timing on those jokes, and the pizza landing and him and making him make the animatronic make those faces, and then also directing that voice performance. I mean, Kevin Clash is famous Muppeteer, and he's a professional, but you still have to. Steve Barron still has to get that performance out of those guys, and then make it feel like it's the same. Like they're in the same scene. They're not. You're not giving me the right thing here, or you're giving me too much, or just to have that blend and to make it seem seamless is really a feat. So I don't care what anyone says. These suits work. The chemistry works. I mean, this is really like a lightning in a bottle situation, because this could have been a disaster.
Oh yeah,
this could have been like a train wreck, made no money, and then we never would have heard about the turtles on the big screen again.
It could have been Masters of the Universe.
Oh, I still have nightmares.
Yeah.
I have a technical but maybe stupid question. Maybe you know about it, because you just said, Pete, that they couldn't see through the costume. Do you know if the actors, they were saying the lines and the other actors could hear them? I don't know how it works. Through the costume, they could talk with their voice. And
so there's actually a very famous shot that a lot of people have been posting online lately of when Raphael wakes up in the tub and Leonardo goes to talk to him, and then it cuts to the doorway and Donatello and April are standing in the doorway, and Donatello, he like throws his head back and laughs. If you pause it right, you can see the actor's face through the mouth opening.
It's a Kodak
And
moment.
yeah, and so they could see through the mouth when it was opening and
Oh, okay.
closing. And so
Okay.
they were probably saying the dialogue just for the timing, and or they had somebody, because the animatronics, team were manipulating the mouth. So like the dialogue was being delivered, but then it
Okay.
was all dubbed
Sure.
by the
Yeah.
voice talent
Yeah.
afterwards.
Let me tell you, from someone who has done paid gigs wearing costumes like that, it's not fun. You're sweating head to toe. You're just uncomfortable. You just can't wait to get out of the damn thing. So the fact that some of these guys are flipping through the air, riding skateboards, fighting each other. I mean, a million takes.
Yeah.
God bless,
Yeah.
because it's brutal. And those things are rubber, man. They don't breathe.
Hmm.
So it's just like kudos
Yeah.
to the guys, kudos to the turtle team for putting that together, because brutal.
We haven't talked about the score yet. And Steve, you talked about Ghostbuster. You said that your childhood was Ninja Turtles, and Ghostbusters, and everything. And just the music reminds me of that or too. I mean, it's really a period of time in the 90s. You had the same energy, the fun in the music, really emblematic music that you remember just hearing the first notes, and you know it's going to be the Ninja Turtles or whatever. And I really enjoy just the music. It's really American pop culture for me.
Yeah.
I was so excited when like they re-released the score. So I have the score right here on vinyl, and it was not easy to find, I'll tell you that.
Hmm.
And it
Yeah.
wasn't easy to find at like a decent price. Nevertheless, I lucked out on securing a copy, but it is such a fantastic score. It is so versatile and dynamic. There's so much going on because on one hand you've got like guitars driving like the Foot Clan, stuff, but then you have this like flute for the ninjutsu aspect of it,
Hmm.
and then you have these like orchestral little cues. It's just it, and it all kind of comes together beautifully and magically. And I remember when I was doing the score for one of my films, Running Through Darkness, and I was watching Ninja Turtles and I was listening to this score. It's like, this score is awesome. Like, I wish, yeah, like that's the kind of score like I would want to have in one of my movies, like where it's just like you have this energy, but then you can pull back for these like softer moments, and it just executes it so perfectly.
Yeah. I mean, I think as a kid, when I first saw it in the theater, I was a little surprised and maybe a little disappointed that we didn't have the classic cartoon theme in there.
Mhm.
But now, as an adult, I can't picture that song in this movie, because even the turtle theme, I'll hum that, and
Mhm.
then my son will start humming it, and like, it's like it has like a life of its own, and I'm so glad that they didn't just recycle. As a kid, you're a little disappointed, but as an adult, I'm like, I'm so glad they didn't recycle that cartoon song, and they
Oh
actually
yeah.
put a theme in here. It's a really good theme, and it
Yeah,
really
well,
works.
and for the longest time, you could only get the soundtrack, which is different than the score. The score is, the music underneath all the scenes, and the soundtrack is the songs that are present throughout the film. And the soundtrack is also really good, but it's probably the one thing that kind of dates the movie the
Hmm.
most, I would say, is the
Mm.
soundtrack, because you have those early 90s, late 80s like New Jack Swing kind of songs, and some of the hip hop going on, and and it's not bad. It's not bad, but the score itself, I think, is a just better representation of this film and a better musical accompaniment to this story than the songs that they picked for it.
Yeah.
And that would be interesting to know if Steve Barron was really in contact. I mean, I guess he was in contact with what's his name, John Duprez. You said
Yeah.
the composer. How they work together, because as you said, Steve Barron is known for his work on music videos. So maybe it really impacted this film, especially with the music. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm. Yeah, well, and I think a big part of that also, comes through in the editing. With music videos, you only get so much time to like tell your story, and you're telling it primarily visually because the song is telling the story. So as a director for a music video, you really got to like tap into that and then execute it visually. And the editing in this film, is really tight. The movie's only like 95 minutes, but you get this big story. It moves incredibly fast. You got all this character introduction, character development. You've got this whole like kind of cross-cutting story between the turtles on the farm and, the Shredder, and the Foot Clan looking for them, and everything going on with Splinter and then Danny and, all these other characters, and all in 95 minutes. It's so tight.
It's what it should be every time.
Yes. It's incredible. It's
Yeah.
so incredible how much this movie gives you, how much it delivers in 30 minutes or less.
Right. Never pay full price for a late pizza.
No.
But I want to talk about the heart of the movie for a little, for a minute. There's so many great sentimental moments. I mean, one of my favorites obviously is when they're meditating and they see Splinter. And they got the the tears coming down. It's man, it's so good.
That's
and
like one of the 5 Funko Pops I own is Splinter coming out of the fire, because like you gotta have it.
Yeah. And then, when April's talking to the turtles about how it seems a little ridiculous to keep a store running because your dad liked old junk, and and Donnie's like, no, it isn't. It's like, oh man, like they miss their dad, and it's like,
Yeah.
they show up at her door and the Splinter's been taken. Like, Splinter, it's just so sad, and like they don't know what to do with themselves, and so there's so many great little moments like that, and then you get ridiculous stuff like the parody of moonlighting. So any kid who grew up in the 80s watching Bruce Willis and Sybil Shepherd slam those doors on each other, it's like, oh my God, it is like moonlighting. And it's just like, and you feel like you're the third turtle sitting there with Mikey and Donnie watching them have this fight. Just so there's the pendulum swings. You got such sweet, tender moments. You got really funny moments. And then there's serious stuff, like you as a kid, like when Shredder's got the blade up to Splinter's neck, it's like, dude, or even on the roof when they're losing. Like, shouldn't someone tell them that we're the good guys? It's like, yeah, man. It's like when you're a kid, you're all in, you're all invested. And it's like you go on that ride and it's just like, wow, the emotions that this movie took me on for an hour and change. It's like, what? And it just, I think the best compliment you can give it is like, it stays true, like you said, to the comics, and it's in the spirit of the cartoon, and it really captured the spirit of the turtles. And I think the movie helped put it over the top, the franchise, as a sense of like, this is here to stay. This is not going to go anyplace. Like I said, if the movie failed, okay, well, it was a cute little comic book that turned into a cartoon, and it really didn't work. But this became like a phenomenon. I think this was just the next level of that phenomenon.
This was like kind of the tip of the iceberg, because after this, then there was the sequels. And there was like the musical, like the traveling show of like
the Turtles Live,
the Turtles Live, and they had like an album, and like the tie-in with Pizza Hut and everything. Like the merchandising just like exploded. I mean, it was big from the cartoon, but after the movie, it just extended its reach. It went further than the cartoon possibly could have, because the movie is really good. I feel like we keep saying it, but like it is, and it became a different medium to present this story and these characters, where it's like, all right, yeah, I might not like cartoons or animation, but I like movies. And now you've got a movie where you're seeing a pretty cool story and, incredible characters doing insane action, and not at the expense of the heart or the drama.
Yeah. And this, when you think about it, I mean, now we live in a time when you could trip over a comic book movie in the theater. You can't turn around and you get slapped in the face with one. But at this point, this was like on the cusp of all these new movies coming out. So you had Batman 89 kind of kicked it off. You had Turtles in 90. You had Dick Tracy in 90. I think like in 92, you had The Shadow. So like all these they found like this, like, hey, wait a second, people like comic book stuff. Let's try to pop
Mm-hmm.
some of these out. And so any property that they could find and slap on a movie screen, it was getting the treatment. And some worked and some didn't. This is one of the ones that really worked. And I'm glad it did because I'm a big Turtle fan. Obviously, I'm a big kid still. Mikey's my
Mm-hmm.
guy.
So yeah, so yours is Mikey, and I asked this question in the video too. But yeah, Anne, who's your favorite turtle? Do you have one?
I would say Raphael. I had an action toy. I don't know how you call that, an action toy of Raphael when I was a kid, and he was competing with my Kens in the eyes of my Barbies. So yeah,
He was the
I
bad
really,
boy in town.
yeah, I like the rebel guy who tries to have his own path beyond his brotherhood. I hope it's clear what I'm saying, but it's true
Mhm.
that when you have brothers, I guess because I had sisters, and it's always you're always compared to your older sisters all the time, and to have your own personality when you're in a band, it's always complicated. So that's why I like Raphael, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. See, I don't know that I have a favorite turtle. I think I've had different favorites at different times. Like when I was a kid, of course, I loved Michelangelo because he just was funny, and
Yeah.
he just wanted to eat pizza, and so he was kind of like the Venkman
Mhm.
of the turtles. He was the funny guy, and I like being funny, but you know I always like Raphael as well because he does have that little like rebellious streak, and like you don't tell me what to do, go fuck yourself,
Mhm.
like.
Yeah.
But then Leonardo, he's kind of like the responsible one, and he's the leader. So, and as a director, it's like, oh yeah, like we gotta go this way. Like I understand that, I connect with that, I identify with it, and I've always respected Donatello just because he's his ingenuity and everything and his insights. But I think I want to say Splinter because he's the best of
I
all
was
of
sure.
them.
I was sure you're gonna say that.
Yeah, but I think in my heart of hearts, really, it's Casey Jones.
Oh,
Like,
because he got April at the end.
He's the Han Solo of this one.
well, because yeah, he's a really good ally. He doesn't mind busting heads. But he also doesn't mind doing his part. And at the end of the day, like, he's not a mutant and he's not a ninja. Like, I can identify with that. I can get behind that, and I can still support my friends. Who are different.
All right, so now I gotta turn the tables on you now. Okay, we've
You're
talked
with the
about
shredder.
you talked about how Indiana Jones murders a lot of people.
Well, yeah, I was
Casey
gonna get.
Jones pulls the
Yeah, that's
handle on that
terrible.
garbage truck. I'm just
That's
gonna
terrible.
say it.
He does. He
Kind of
does.
murders a
He,
shredder, and we're like, yeah.
he exactly. And in a kids movie, how great is that?
And
you
he's
know?
whistling, like it's nothing. Oh my God, a psycho guy.
Oops.
Yeah.
It's like here I am. I'm 9 years old. I got like bloodlust. Like, yeah, get him, yeah, crush him.
Well, yeah, like I remember, I couldn't believe it when I saw it. He was like, he just killed the shredder.
Mhm.
Mm.
But spoiler alert: if you read the first comic, they kill the shredder in the first fucking comic
And
because they didn't plan on doing
yeah.
any more. But then they subsequently, like retroactively, like brought it back around and told more stories and everything. But and then of course the second movie they clear all that up.
And talk about this is the cap on a tremendous run for Corey Feldman in the 80s. I mean, I don't know anyone else who had that many memorable. I mean, geez, like stuff from like the Fox and the Hound, when he was a kid, and then you go to stuff like Gremlins, Goonies, Friday the 13th. He's in there as young Tommy Jarvis. Then you keep going. The bird. I mean,
Stand
I
by
love the
Me, The
bird.
Lost
Stand by
Boys,
Me. Yeah, it's
Burbs.
like, and then you cap it off as one of the Ninja Turtles. Like, what a decade
Yeah,
for that guy. I mean, geez. I mean, yeah, he still, obviously he kept working, did stuff after, but I think that decade solidified him as like a pop culture icon, for a lot of people.
yeah,
A lot of tremendous movies. A lot of my favorites have him in it. It's like, damn, he's in this one too. Damn, he's in. It's like, so I just had to bring that up because props to Corey Feldman for being in so many great movies in that decade and adding a lot to my childhood. So come on,
Yeah.
let me hear favorite scenes. What's your favorite?
Oh man.
I'll tell you. I'll go
Uh,
first. I'll tell you what my favorite scene is. From when Raph gets beat up on the rooftop
Me too. I
to
like this
to
one.
the escape through the hatch
Yeah.
with Casey Jones. That whole
that
stretch, I fucking love. That's like top. I don't know, top 10. Greatest sections of movies of all time. I love that
it's
section.
it's really that whole like it's like the centerpiece of the film.
Love that
And
section.
kind of the turning point, because that's where like the turtles are like really confronted, and it just keeps going.
Mm-hmm.
It starts on the roof, and then it comes down into the apartment, and then it goes down into the shop, and then they start coming in with like the axes, and it catches on fire, and it's
It just
just
keeps
like,
building and building and building.
yeah.
And the music too that goes along with everything that's happening. It's just like, whoa, it's just that whole sequence. I just love that. And then Casey shows up and it's like, oh, badass time.
Yeah,
Um,
just when you think like, oh, it couldn't get any worse, and then Casey shows up and he's just, like hitting the hockey stick on his hand. He's got that vein popping out of his arm. He's like he's ready for action.
yeah. It's like, you're picking up my
You
little
know,
green pal over there. Huh? Yeah. Oh man, it's so good. It's so good. I love that section.
There's a particular moment I like in the movie. It's when Casey Jones is cutting the carrots with his weapon.
uh,
It's, I love this moment. It's so funny.
yeah, no, that's really good. I like, I don't know that I have a favorite scene. I love the whole movie
Yeah, me
from
too.
start to finish, and I could
I
just
know.
pick out, moments here and there,
Yeah.
like when Casey and Donnie are working on the truck and they're
Hmm.
calling each other names like alphabetically,
Yeah.
Yeah.
like those little moments of just character that add to the tangibility of the story.
Hmm.
And
It's
I,
not all action set pieces. There's those little moments with the characters as well. And I don't know if you guys are aware of this either, but when they're on the farm, Michelangelo doesn't say a word.
Yeah.
He doesn't have one line. He holds up the turtle wax and like smiles and laughs, but he doesn't have a single line
Yeah.
when they're at the farm.
That's crazy. Yeah.
It's a little insane because he's the carefree guy, and so like that's the effect that Splinter's abduction is having on him. He's
Yeah.
like
He's
so
sad.
internalized and conflicted. He doesn't even have like he's not himself, without his dynamic in place.
Yeah. That's a good point. So deep. The turtles are so deep.
oh, if you want to go deep, I have a theory, but you think I'm crazy again. But I
Splinter
saw
sexually molested the turtles.
no, I see in Splinter a Christic image. I'm explaining.
Okay.
When he's a prisoner, he's attached to a fence, like the crest on his cross.
Hmm.
And I like the fact that when Danny comes up, he's not like angry at him, or is wise and listening and trying to show him the way. So it's exactly what you can think about the Christ. And the fact that at the end is the one who kills a bad guy without using violence. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And he's the father of tortures. When you think about it, they're not from the same family, but they are family,
Hmm.
because he has kind of a power, but not using force, using his mind and make you think a specific way. So I hope I'm clear in what I'm
Yeah.
saying. But watching this, because I'm Christian, of course, but watching it, I thought about the Christ, really.
I can see that.
Yeah, okay.
I don't know if I totally agree 100%, but I will agree that I worship Splinter.
I know you do.
I will follow him. I will listen
No
to his
matter what.
teachings.
And last thing I really loved about this movie, it's supposed to be a kid movie, right? But at the end, I think it's Raphael who says "bitchin." When Shredder is dying or is dead. I don't remember when
Yeah.
exactly. And it's not something you expect in a kid movie to hear one of your heroes saying that. And I think it's cool. I loved it.
Mhm.
Well, he's
Yeah,
a
well,
rebel.
Yeah,
all the
terrible.
turtle, vernacular from this movie. I mean, that's another thing that kind of dates it, but at the same time, it's fun, and like language has a way of like, coming back, and words have a way of, working themselves back into, the common tongue. And so like, in the beginning of the movie when they're walking home from their first victory, and they're all saying, gnarly and radical, and all the little slang buzzwords.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I mean, honestly, like that's one thing that is very accurate about how teenagers
Yeah,
spoke at that time, and if you
yeah.
don't believe me, go watch Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
Mhm.
That movie's rife with the same characteristics, and it's a few years before this, so it's really like tapping into just the again, the reality that the story is grounded in.
The fact that when you think about it, those turtles, first of all, turtles as superheroes, it's something that you don't expect, right? You have Batman, you have Superman, you have I mean, Superman is not an animal, but you have an Ant-Man, you have a, but you know those,
Spider-Man.
yeah. I mean, you have many animal men guy, but they all they're human in a way. They're first of all humans, and these superheroes, they're just animals. So you think you're not gonna be able to relate to these characters, but actually thanks to their characters you can relate easily. And the fact that the turtle, the animal, you think about wisdom and something slow, and actually you have teenagers really active. I mean, that's not something you expect. And also the fact that there is violence and vulgarity sometimes. That's not something you think you're gonna show to your kids, but actually it's so fun, and they're fighting for good at the end. So in that measure that for me it's subversive. I hope I'm clear on what I'm saying.
This has got to be, I think, probably the most successful parody probably
Yeah,
ever made. I mean,
yeah.
you think it
Mm.
started out as a parody of Daredevil.
Yeah.
I mean, as a two guys did as a joke, and it's like $1 billion joke. It's like it's got to be the most success. I mean, Austin Powers is pretty successful. I'm trying to think of other parodies, but I think this might be the most successful parody of something else ever.
Yeah, but and then also it wasn't like a it's a subtle parody. Like if you know Daredevil
Hmm.
and the connections there, then yes, but really, it was more I mean, it evolved. There's a great documentary about the Ninja Turtles like property. I believe it's called Turtle Power: The Definitive Story of
Hmm.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and they talk to Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird, who are the creators of the Turtles, and how they developed. And one of them just made a sketch and passed it across the table as they were working one night, and it's like, oh, it's a Ninja Turtle. And then the other guy added to it, and it's like, oh, we got to put Teenage Mutant above the title. Why? Because it's funny and it's crazy. But then as you get into it and as they develop the story, yeah, they pulled ideas from Daredevil, but they turned them on their side, or
Hmm.
upside down. So it's like the turtles fight the foot, but Daredevil
And
fights the hand, you know?
Ah.
Daredevil's
Daredevil's
that stick.
yeah, his master is Stick, and they have Splinter. These little nods. Even the ooze that created the turtles is supposedly the ooze that blinded Daredevil and gave him his heightened senses as well. So it's kind of just a fun connection for, I think, comic fans. I wouldn't even necessarily say it's a parody. It's more of like an homage or an
Spin-off.
inspiration. Yeah, it's like a second cousin, to Daredevil. And it totally works and succeeds because it taps into, again, that dark tone and that violent aspect of it, and that, just the even just that ninjutsu, action element of it.
Have you read The Last Ronin?
I read the first one. I haven't read. There's another one
I know
that I haven't read, and then they're making a movie as well. And that, did you read it?
I read it. Yeah, I read the. Well, I read the like you. I read the first one. I haven't read the
Okay.
second part yet. But
Well,
man,
let's not
good.
spoil anything for Anne. But yeah, that'll tear your heart out.
But I'll tell you this: there have been rumblings that they want to obviously make the movie, but that they want to make it with the Henson style suits. And furthermore, I think it was Eastman said that they want Judith Hoag to come back
Yeah,
and
well,
play April. And I'm like, let's fucking go. I'm ready.
you know, the ingredients are there. Why not just make the best fucking possible meal you can?
Yeah, yeah. And all these guys, all the voices, they're all still alive. Let's get cooking.
Yeah, that would be amazing. That would blow up.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for real. Like, if we're still talking about this movie and they're putting it back in theaters and adding dates due to popular demand, I think that says something right there.
And you should.
And I think people should listen to what is being said.
Yeah, you should read it, Anne. It's a good story.
Yeah, I will.
The Last Ronin. Check it out.
Yeah. That'll about do it for us here today at the Visually Hidden Selects podcast. We will be discussing a completely different film next time, so be sure to head over to our YouTube channel and subscribe so you don't miss any future selections. You can catch Stephen Bendler over at Steve's Pop Culture Corner on Instagram. Anne and I, of course, are also on Instagram as well as Letterboxd, so you can follow us over there and find out what we've been watching and see what we think. And until next time,
Cowabunga!
Cowabunga!